video is symbolic of India's aspirations of becoming a major EV making hub in the near future. However, that's easier said than done, particularly when it comes to quoting the world's most famous electric car maker, Tesla. Elon Musk is on a hunt for sites from where his company can make more electric cars for the world. According to a Bloomberg piece, having lobbied against India's manufacturing policies and import duties, Musk is now headed to Indonesia. One major attraction for Musk could be that Indonesia is the top producer of nickel, which is a key metal used in batteries. There's no official word regarding its future in India from Tesla itself, but the fact that it is facing hurdles in India is publicly known. And so is its courtship by India, although it comes with riders attached. In a recent address, Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Nitin Gadkari, welcomed Elon Musk to manufacture Teslas in India, citing India's competencies and market size. But suppose Musk wants to manufacture in China and sell in India, that isn't a good proposition for India, the minister said. Meanwhile, Ford has made its India plans clear. The US automaker on Thursday said that it has dropped plans to make electric vehicles in India. In this context, it is imperative to look at India's EV policies and targets. India's vision of e-mobility aims to achieve 70% of all commercial car, 30% of private car, 40% of bus, and 80% of two-wheeler and three-wheeler sales to be electric by the year 2030. According to market observer CEEW, Center for Energy Finance, this would translate into 102 million EVs. Also, deploying 102 million EVs by FY30 would need deployment of 2.9 million public chargers. According to the report, India's EV market will be a $206 billion opportunity by 2030 if the country meets its ambitious target for that year. So, how is the government giving the EV industry a push? A recent India briefing note sums it up. First, India's EV industry is set to pick up pace with 100% FDI having been made possible. Then, there are the slated manufacturing hubs and the increased push on improving charging infrastructure. Second, India has federal subsidies and policy that favor deeper discounts on made in India two-wheeler EVs. Along with this, a boost for local ACC battery storage production is another growth driver. Third, in September 2021, the central government approved a production-linked incentive scheme for the auto sector. The aim is to boost EV and hydrogen fuel cell vehicle manufacturing. The 25,938 crore rupees PLI scheme for automobile and auto components and the 18,100 crore rupees PLI for advanced chemistry cell, along with the 10,000 crore rupees FAME scheme, will help India leapfrog to an environmentally cleaner EV-based system. So, is the news about Ford and Tesla going to be a dampener for the Indian EV industry? Do India's EV policies require some tweaking?
Should we worry about Ford deciding not to build EVs in India? Absolutely not, right? Ford has its own sort of reasons for not wanting to look more aggressively into the Indian market. Primarily because when you look at what's happening in the North American market, all the American existing OEMs are challenged aggressively by the likes of Teslas, Rivians in those markets. So for Ford, they have to first protect their own markets before looking at markets outside of North America. We know that Elon Musk has been talking and going to Indonesia to have discussions on whether to set up a plant in Indonesia. For me, even that is not of a concern. See, Tesla has very strong base in China. They have now the gigafactory in Berlin, and they're also having a couple of plants in North America. So he has to look more at the Asian markets, and Indonesia is an interesting choice, Now, the question is whether India should offer the concessions. I don't think it's prudent for India to offer those concessions, because if those concessions are offered to Tesla, that will also have repercussions on our domestic manufacturers. Now, be mindful that Indonesian domestic market is quite less compared to the Indian market. That's number one. Second, even when you look at the overall automotive supply base in Indonesia, it's quite less compared to the Indian market. And the third, the skill base in Indonesia compared to an India is quite less, even from a manpower and engineering skill standpoint. I think government has ticked a lot of boxes. Look at the FAME subsidy, look at the PLI schemes, from an auto PLI, auto OEM PLI. I think government has done a lot, right? Of course, there are three areas that government could do a bit more. One, obviously, in sending a clear message that the subsidies predominantly from a FAME perspective, will that continue after 2024? So that it gives a bit more confidence to the industry in that the policy is headed in the right direction. Number two, I think today a lot of our incentives are based on production. I think government should clearly look at offering incentives from an R&D perspective, because that will drive innovation and R&D development with our domestic as well as tier 1 suppliers in India. And last but not the least, I think government should also try and strengthen our test and validation labs, because you look at the recent fires that have happened from battery perspective, government should try and take proactive measures to build world-class test laboratories which are able to handle some of these challenging components of the future.
There's many a slip between the cup and the lip, and that's a caveat for India's EV goals, given how ambitious they are. For now, India appears to be on the right footing, even if it does, for example, end up curbing Tesla's enthusiasm for the Indian market.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.